Is it possible to lose when you're flipping a house? Because it sure sounds like a sure win to me.
Moving forward with the DekkerTeam. Moving forward together with the DekkerTeam.
Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with
Ken Dekker
and Yetta Dekker. And we're excited to welcome you back to another episode where we share techniques, thoughts, and tools that we all need, we all deserve. You, I, everyone, so we can make our house into a home where we really build wealth and our families thrive and we live the best life possible.
Mm-hmm.
So flipping. It sounds like a really good idea. Those TV shows had me convinced. And yet you can actually lose money when flipping unless you do it right and with precision. So on this show, you're going to learn some insider knowledge, especially the Ottawa market. There are markets in the States. There are some markets in Canada that actually make it reasonably easy to flip a house and do okay. And yet Ottawa's not one of them.
Well, I think what's happening is the shows have increased the popularity of people wanting to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And who I see having the greatest success are the people that are contractors. And sometimes it's because they have inside connections to get good pricing on the sub-trades. Sometimes it's because they're already in the mode of doing renovations and they just know how to do it. They don't make mistakes. They're fast at it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think it's because they're basically buying themselves a job.
Right. It's
because they get paid to do the renovations.
Right. If they do it right.
They do it right and they do it
right.
themselves.
Right. And so one of the ways that it can kind of cost people, and they think they're making a great decision, is not counting the cost of holding the money, like holding the property. So the cost of the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the other big thing with somebody who's doing it all the time. They tend to have enough cash in reserve that they're actually not waiting on advances from the bank. They're not worried about lines of credits. They actually have the cash to buy the property, the cash to do the renovation, and then to be able to flip it a little more expediently because they've got no slowdowns in the whole financial picture. Whereas when you're doing one, or you've only ever done one and you're moving on to number two, you don't tend to have the same amount of setup. You're not really poised to make good money with it.
So the ideal is if they're sitting with a big line of credit or something, they can utilize that to buy the house, do the renovations, and then sell it because that line of credit is probably registered on another property that doesn't have a mortgage on it.
Or just have the cash.
Or just
some
have
of ours
some
have
of
just
the cash.
Yeah.
But for someone that has to actually put a mortgage on the property they're going to flip, you have registration fees, cancellation fees, all that kind of stuff that you need to calculate into the cost on top of the interest you're paying to hold it. And where I find a lot of people, including myself,
yeah, because you've done it wrong.
Will negate some of it is that I think it might take 2 months to renovate and we can go on the market, and then 2 months to sell it and close. Sometimes that turns into 3 months to renovate it, 2 months to sell it, and another 2 months to close it. So now
that's if you're lucky.
Yeah, now we're up to 7 months, and I didn't calculate for that amount of time.
Right. And short-term money, unless you either have the cash or you have a line of credit on a property, is actually a lot more costly.
Yeah, if you buy either an open mortgage, it's going to be more expensive, or you buy if you're probably, I would suggest you do like a 6-month term if you're going to try and do a flip, if you need to put a mortgage on it.
Right. And so the other way people lose is they think they're going to do more of the work themselves. They think, I can do the work and I'm good to go. And then one of two things happen. Either it makes it not a 2 or 3 month project, so now it's a 7-month project because it took longer than they anticipated, or worse yet, their ability to do the work is inferior, and now the increase in the property isn't actually there.
Yeah, because the work is not of a workman quality, right? So be careful of that. If you're not expert at doing trim work or painting or caulking or whatever it is, installing a kitchen, you put in a kitchen, you put it in crooked.
Yeah, it's worse than not having put one in.
Almost.
Right? Sometimes it's worse.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that bad.
Yep.
Or
you're installing a laminate floor, you put in a poor quality laminate, or you don't know how to cut around a jamb post for a doorway, and there's now a big gape there, or cuts into it.
A big gap?
Gape. Is that such a word?
I don't know. There's a gap.
I made it up. It's good.
It's good. It does gape, but now there's a gap. I got it. Okay. And then, so not only could the renos take longer, I could actually realize that the value isn't actually there where I thought it was.
Well, that's where you really want an expert to help you in the front end, because you need to know the value of buying it, because that flip house has had delayed maintenance, or maybe it's got good maintenance. It's all out of date.
Right.
And you're going to change everything. Well, you got to know that you're buying it at the right price, and then you need to sell it at the right price.
Right.
And so knowing what a renovated model will sell for helps you in that pre-calculation mode, because all the money's made in the calculations up front and deciding whether you go ahead with the project or you don't go ahead with the project.
Right. Because if you have to discount the price to get it sold, now you're in a lot of trouble. It just ended up becoming not a moneymaker. Not only did you give yourself a job, you now actually lost money in the process.
That wouldn't be good.
Wouldn't be good.
On the TV shows, do they ever show people losing money on their flip?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't usually watch them because I do them real life.
Yeah, we do the real life gig instead, right?
Yes.
And so if you build something,
they will come. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that's what Field of Dreams told us. And yet that's not always true. If we don't build the right thing, or we choose the wrong improvement in the property, now all of a sudden what looked like an amazing flip is a horrible expense and a terrible experience.
Yeah. If you put in the wrong materials that people aren't looking for right now or don't like.
Because you love them.
Yeah. Like you put in the 70s butcher block countertop because you like that, and other people don't.
Yeah, and it may not even be that extreme. It could just be the color of the flooring. It could be the style of the cabinetry.
Right.
Right? So you really want to be looking at current trends. The magazines are a great source, and online looking is a great source for your local area.
Right.
Right? Because I don't want to renovate a house like it were in Paris, France, or like it were in Florida or in California, because a different thing is in demand here. An example would be flooring. I've seen people put ceramic throughout the whole main level.
And people don't like it.
Because it's not common here. But if you were to buy a house in California, it's fantastic.
Yep. Or Denmark.
Yeah, that's
heated floors.
Heated floors.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Now, one of my favorite hacks, if you're watching this on video, you'll see it right behind me. This black fireplace, when we bought this property, it had a hearth and a mantle and everything, and it was brass. And we simply took it, sanded it, and spray painted it black.
Right.
So you didn't have to buy a new fireplace.
No, we had it serviced. And that was a quarter of the cost or a fifth of the cost.
Right.
And then you end up with brand new. So there are some good things you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the big message here is count the costs before you get started. Count all the costs before you get started. We're grateful to be your partners in growing wealth, building wealth through real estate.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.